Hello again everyone. Here's another program, probably a little sooner than you were expecting, but I think I'll try making a few of these shorter programs because once they're on the Muskham History Group library, you can view them whenever you feel like it. And they are designed to keep us together while we're apart. So another lockdown special, and this one is to celebrate a local industry. A short history of Nottingham lace. It'll come as no surprise to discover that this programme is purely from research, but anyone with direct experience of the industry, please get in touch and we will try to incorporate your knowledge. The origin of lace is disputed by historians. There is a valid legal case that the Milanese Sforza family claimed lace manufacture in 1493. There is also a claim for a Flemish origin substantiated by a painting known to have been made in 1485 showing lace on a priest's alb. But because lace is an evolution of several other material construction techniques, it is usually thought to have originated in several places at more or less the same time. What is certain is that by the early 1500s it was an essential adjunct to Tudor and European fashion. The 16th century marked the rapid development of lace. Both needle lace and bobbin lace became fashionable for enhancing the collars and cuffs of both men's and women's clothing. This tended to be needle lace that was embroidered with loops and picots, used as applique or appendage. Bobbin lace was also popular at this time, being used rather more for domestic decoration. Lace was an expensive material, and it became a quiet assertion of wealth and status for the wearer. Lace collars and cuffs, particularly the lace ruff, became an instant recognition feature for gentlefolk. It was almost a uniform. And royalty could go for a significant display of lace without it becoming tawdry. Lace is and continues to be a quiet display of quality. Though the manufacture at this time would be very much a cottage industry. Young girls would often be set to knitting lace instead of spinning and weaving as their work. This would either be sold at the local town market or might even be collected by agents. Agents would take their stocks of lace items to larger city markets or trade directly with the end users. The value of lace as a commercial commodity was quickly understood, and quality lace makers were also valued. Indeed, it is said that Catherine of Aragon valued her lace makers so highly that she burned all her lace so that she could order more and keep her lace makers in work. Mind you, this happened when she was exiled at Amt Hill, so it may have been a way of getting Henry VIII to spend money on her instead of wasting it on that Berlin woman. During the 15th century, lace became popular in clerical vestments, and that tradition continues through to the present day. As far as the Roman Catholics are concerned, this has significance. The Mass is said to be the royal marriage feast of the Lamb, so the priest should dress appropriately for the royal court. The robes should therefore be regal in their dignity and simple in their style. Lace is a perfect material to show dignity and beauty, not by cleverness of design or expensive ornamentation, but purely through the intrinsic quality and the obvious skill in the workmanship to produce it. Samuel Pepys often mentions lace in his diaries, sometimes about purchasing it for his wife or himself, sometimes mentioning the lace of an acquaintance to compliment their quality and decorum, sometimes to comment on the dirty and ill-kempt nature of the lace of colleagues, and at least once to question whether his wearing of gold lace might be seen as ostentation and showiness, particularly by the king. By the time of Samuel Pepys, lace was being made all over Europe, and it maintained its popularity with little to compete with it. And by the time Queen Victoria came to the throne, lace had so many conventional and traditional uses that demand was always high. By this time, lace was not only material for quietly stated quality garments, but also had a range of expected uses about the home. Lace curtains were expected for those of property to maintain their privacy. Lace covers were expected to protect furniture from gentlemen's hair oils, and so on. And lace makers do have their own patron saint. St. John Francis Regis used the lace making and embroidery trades in doing God's work. He guided many women out of prostitution by establishing them in one or other of these trades, depending on the current local demand. In recognition of his simple ministry and the large numbers of people he brought to the church in a geographically challenging part of France, he was canonized in 1716. His work in saving ladies of ill repute is why he became the patron saint of lace making. As the saying goes, he'll save you a blonde for a guinea. By the mid-1700s, the English lace market had split into two distinct sectors. Buckinghamshire County had established a skill base in various towns and villages in the county for handmade, hand-knitted lace. The quality of this lace was magnificent, but so was the price. In various other places, people were knitting lace on frame machines. But most of this was of very poor quality, liable to lather and unwind. It was made for what might be called a mass market. It had a large border of wastage and was run in by a needle and needed careful use, whether used as net or lace trim. This lace was still expensive, but it was at least affordable. The making of lace is a multi-stage process, and poor quality lace came from the fact that people were working as quickly as possible to make money in the marketplace, but they were not skilled in every stage, and the quality varied depending on how many stages were not carried out properly. Around 1760, Nottingham introduced a new standard in point lace. By applying the necessary skills to each step of the process, Nottingham established a genuine cottage industry that was capable of producing a very high standard of lace on a frame knitting machine. By 1790, all machine-made lace, from wherever it came to be known as Nottingham lace, and soon the the competition began to fall away. From the 1790s, improvements in Nottingham frame knitted lace came steadily and regularly, keeping Nottingham ahead of the competition. Machines producing warp lace were introduced by the 1800s. This lace did not ladder, as did the cheaper machine-made lace, and was an altogether more robust product. By the 1840s, the industry began to move into workshops. Although small and somewhat dislocated, these workshops began to build an economy of scale that made it difficult for other locations to break into the Nottinghamshire lace market. Around 1808, a lace-making machine replicated the hand-made lace process by twisting the threads together before knitting them into lace. This literally produced a lace that could not ladder, nor go into holes, nor unravel. The quality of machine-made lace now came very close to the best handmade product. The twist machines are generally accepted as the most complicated textile machines ever invented. After John Heathcote had invented the first twist machine in 1808, it was followed by a plethora of different twist lace machines that improved some specialist aspect of the process. In 1813, the lever's machine was introduced, and the workshop now tended to industrialise, and Nottingham became an internationally renowned centre for lace making. By 1846, the curtain lace machine had arrived on the scene. The Heathcote machine, the lever's machine, and now the curtain machine meant that lace making came in three distinctly different sections. Heathcote's plain knit machines in general, then curtain lace machines for home furnishings, and for lace garments being made on the lever's machines. From the 1850 onwards, you could be invited by an owner to visit his lace factory in Nottingham. This would give the impression of an integrated lace manufacturing business operating in and around Nottingham City. However, the Nottingham industry was never integrated into a homogeneous industrial function. Large lace-making companies were very much the exception. Most were small to medium-size, proprietor-run concerns. Firstly, the type of lace divided manufacturing into different factories. Then the various trades in each lace section further subdivided the industry into smaller working groups. The more subtle division between lace making and lace manufacturing had to be taken into account. The finishing and marketing of each type of lace product concerned required its own special treatment. Then came the specialists in lace dyeing, which, although closely allied to lace manufacturing, was a separate and specialized industry. Finally, machine build and servicing with its numerous engineering subsections. Few businesses combined more than two aspects of the industry together at any one time. The lace industry was really a multitude of small firms, often in rented property. Demarcation lines between the various sections were unwritten, but they were rarely crossed. Moreover, the participants in each section often had little or no understanding of what happened in the other sections. As frequently happens with geographically centred industries, the necessary diversification takes place within the community, with different people seeing and exploiting a niche in the market that never becomes apparent to the wider world. Nottingham is an industrial centre only in the sense that the industry was congregated there. In 1877, the boundaries of Nottingham were extended to incorporate the former villages of Bulwell, Basford, Radford, Lenton and Wilford. As the industry continued to grow, occupying these areas either with workers' homes or factories or with both. At its height, in the early 1900s, the lace industry employed between 60,000 and 100,000 Nottinghamshire men, women and children, and literally thousands of lace frame knitting machines of the various types, with engineering works to build and service them. Even when the lace was in the warehouse, there were a myriad of other finishing processes before it was finally ready for sale. Inspection for faults, mending of the faults, drawing, that's separating one band of lace from another, scalloping, that's getting rid of surplus fabric to reveal the curved edge, clipping, getting rid of surplus threads, and a number of other tasks. Some of this finishing work was done in the warehouses, but much of it was carried out by outworkers in their own homes, with women comprising most of the workforce in lace manufacture. Between the wars, the lace buyers for the various retail chains valued the fact that in a single day they could view hundreds of patterns assembled from many different lace makers in the lace market, rather than making lengthy visits around the country to widely scattered factories. But then, in the 50s, lace began to suffer, along with many other location-centred industries, from so-called third world competition, where labour rates of pay were impossible for European industries to compete. Slowly, the lace business left our shores. And now, there are a very few specialist lace makers left in Nottingham, and an area of the city that carries the name the Lace Market. It is still a tasteful and beautiful product with great variety. As yet we haven't scratched the surface. Still to be discussed in detail are bobbin lace made with bobbins and a pillow, chemical lace stitched with embroidery threads that form a continuous motif, crochet lace including Irish crochet, pineapple crochet and filet crochet, cutwork lace constructed by removing threads from the woven background, knitted or Shetland lace including the wedding ring shawl, a lace shawl so fine that it can be pulled through a wedding ring, knotted lace, machine-made lace, needle lace, tape lace, but they are all for another day. I hope you've enjoyed that programme, and here's another lockdown special to go into the library with the usual message. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to seeing you all when this is all over. Most of my existing material is from my passionate interest in military history, largely based on a lifelong hobby of wargaming. However, Brian and I both felt that this was not to everyone's taste, and the point of these programs is to keep us all together while we're apart and cannot meet because of lockdown. This program is an attempt at variety. Next, I'm planning another short program on the Nottinghamshire coal industry. I do at least have some family experience of coal mining in the North Staffordshire coalfields, so that won't be pure research. The history of Bomber Command, which is a much longer project, can wait. If you have any requests, let Brian know and we'll see what we can do. But I do hope that these shorter programs fill the library more quickly and give you something to work on over a period of time. Thank you for listening to this program, and I look forward to the next one. Goodbye now.